Well, this is awkward. Another year, another video of me doubting another one of the players that we picked up. Last year it was B-Boy, and I was completely and entirely wrong. He was one of our best players. He won first team All Pro, which has literally never happened to a team that, for an AD carry, that has not made it to the playoffs. Just historic, really cool. I didn't like him on Pain Gaming, but hey, it is what it is. And now we're back with Palafox. So let's talk about this a little bit chronologically because I think it'll make a little bit more sense. Split ends, players end up leaving, and we're looking. I'm really happy we signed Fudge, we signed contracts, really happy with them. Seiyus, I think maybe got announced a little bit later, but Seiyus was amazing. We tried to get JoJo, and from what I heard behind the scenes, we were close, but no cigar. So no JoJo. Our next option was Niski. Now I was happy with Niski because he is a playmaker. I think he's underrated, and I think he's someone who fits well in North America. And he sort of makes sense. You give him contracts, someone who I know his Rengar and Kha'Zix days are behind him, but he was playing a little bit some Italy here and there. Just enabling our team. I think he's also played with Fudge before, so uh, actually no, he didn't play with Fudge. Never mind. But regardless, I thought it could have been a good. It could have been good, but again, Niski decided he didn't want to join, and then we went with Palafox, and I was very disappointed. I really wanted Insanity to stay. And I thought that Insanity had a much better split than Palafox, and Palafox looked absolutely horrendous. Like, on the crossover just a couple days ago, they literally said they were deciding who would be the worst mid laner, and the first thing that came to mind was Palafox.
Can we agree Palafox at 8? He was the worst mid laner in the LCS last year. What's going to change?
Like, come on. You don't tell me that you pick up a player who just had his worst year ever and be like, hey, we're gambling that he's going to be better than the player who we already have? Like, why are you doing that? If you want to be stable, if you want to, like, just do better and make it to playoffs or something. So I was disappointed. I didn't understand why, especially since I've seen, and Palafox has admitted he just played the worst he's ever played before. Sure, he had higher highs, but, like, Insanity has been improving. Insanity has a much wider champion pool, and I didn't get it. And so I got a chance to talk with Revan actually. And here's what he had to say.
I think the main decider or the distinction for me was there's, at least from my perspective, a big difference and a big distinction between playing bad and or looking bad slash inting. And I think he looked like he was inting to the naked eye because he was trying to do stuff to try to overturn situations, because like he wasn't fine with like slowly losing, or like whenever there's an angle that he seems good, he was always going for it. And when that works and when he's on point with how to execute it, etc., it's going to look like 2023 summer Palafox. And when it fails for various reasons, it's going to look like 2024 Palafox. This also ties into after watching a 2024 Worlds where I somewhat needed like a crack, and I was also way more interested in mid laners that have or can at least try to play how Faker did in both finals of 2024 and 2023, which is like he basically made T1 win, not just because he played good, but like he was making the shit happen, which is like very rare for a mid laner. I think playmaking generally comes from either jungle and support and at maximum from top. And mid and AD carries are just like sitting around and waiting for stuff to happen, and then they do damage, etc. And with like how you said, with I don't know which Azir play you're talking about, but like that sort of like willingness to, even if it makes him look like a clown, which judging by what you said he did, the fact that he was willing to go for it was an appeal for me. But this like play style or gameplay related stuff was only like 30%. For me, the deciding factor as to why I actually wanted him was one, he was the only player. He was the only player. Um, besides like maybe Fudge, but that's a bit different because he literally lived down the street. He was the only player that, as an individual, not through an agent, like that reached out to me specifically and said, let me bring up what he said exactly. Hey, I know you might be asleep, but thought I'd reached out. I heard about the team you're putting together in our SR, and I think it's a great one. I was wondering if it would be possible to talk to you, even if you don't think I'm the right fit. I think it would be beneficial for the both of us to have a chat. And whilst this like 2 sentence statement doesn't really seem like a lot, basically no one does this. Like, like I think players basically either fighting for their jobs or having some sort of outward passion as to like, oh, I want a job is pretty rare nowadays because either like 95% of them just like sit behind their agents and hope something good happens. And at first I was just really impressed that like he bothered to reach out. And then on top of that, once we got into the actual call, because because at the time I was basically not interested at all. Like I had David ahead of him, Jojo Pen ahead of him, and Niski ahead of him. So, and I said all this to him in the call. I basically straight up insulted him in like various ways, which is like, so first off, like our mid lane priorities for players is like 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're like 5 or something.
So a couple things here. First, I do like the will, the drive to actually reach out and say, "Hey, I want to join this team." I know it sounds weird. Like normally, if you're just working at a job, you apply to a job, you get the job. Like it's not necessarily how it works in the League of Legends esports ecosystem. But the fact that he had that sort of motivation, it's a good thing. I'm not going to like give it 100 points or like be like, "Now I'm happy because he did that." No, but it's nice to see that he, because of the effort that he put in, he didn't just get lucky and get that spot. It wasn't for nothing. He actually, you know, went out of his way to get the spot, which is nice to know. And then the thing he talked about Faker being a playmaker and how he wanted a playmaking mid laner, like I agreed with him. Insanity, as of right now, is not a playmaking mid laner. Jojo was. Niski is. I guess Jojo is, right? Niski is. Insanity just isn't that person. And so if really what you want to build your team around is a Contracts is controlling the early game. He's like the shot caller of the team. Fudge is like a rock. He's our stable point. We have an extremely powerful bot lane in Bvoy and Seiyus. I know people don't think that way, but they're going to be a very powerful duo. Just trust me on that part. And you kind of need some sort of playmaker. Seiyus might not. I mean, he's always been good on Nautilus and Engage and whatnot, but having a mid laner that's engaged was the reason he built this team this way, and that's why he wanted Jojo. That's why he wanted Niski. Makes sense to me. So I'm not as against it, I guess, as I was before. Am I skeptical? Yes. Am I as skeptical as I was with the B-Boy signing? No. For one specific reason. The fact that I got to talk to Revan. I think talking about my concerns and at least getting the thought process of why we picked up this player and what the team is supposed to look like definitely helped a lot. I think, in that video, he actually explains why they swapped out Boogie and brought in Tomio, and just like he actually talks about every single player and how they got signed. So I really recommend you listen to that interview because it really did, at least for Shopify fans, put to light what exactly we're trying to do and what the reasoning behind it was. And even if I disagree with the reasoning, at least I have the reasoning. With other players, it just feels like, oh, why did you pick Castle instead of Licorice, for example? I think he's on DSG, if I'm not mistaken. Like, why did DSG pick up Castle instead of Licorice? Did Licorice prefer to go? Like, you never know these answers, right? So it's nice that he actually mentioned, like, hey, we wanted Jojo, we wanted Niski. We told Palafox, you're a 4th or 5th option. We actually wanted Insanity over you, but then after discussion and looking through VODs and whatnot, and really trying to figure out what you want. So this is a much lighter version. I know the title is like, is Palafox the worst mid laner in LCS? Or LTA, not as called, or something like that. I might change the title, but I'm hoping he can have a resurgence. I think having a much stronger team around him should help, but I don't know. I don't have faith that he will magically become better, that he will play better. I disagreed with Revan that he only looked bad but wasn't playing bad. I thought he was objectively playing bad. But at the end of the day, like, if we really wanted to engage, a playmaking mid laner, I think Palafox in NA right now is probably the only person that you could pick up. So it makes sense. And I'm just hoping he plays well. I've been in his streams whenever he's been streaming, which is really nice. I've been in his chat, just watching him playing. He plays well, but again, solo queue and LCS, very different monsters. And yeah, as a Shopify fan, I'm just hoping that I know this is a 2-year project, but if we can just make it to Sao Paulo, if we can just make it to Brazil in Split 1, it's going to be so good. Like, getting to see Seiyus play against Loud, getting to see B-Voy play against Pain, it's going to be so good. As someone who's been watching both CBLOL and LTA or LCS for years and years now, it's going to feel a little surreal. But yeah, I hope that every year I'm not making a video like this, being like, hey, why did we pick up this player? And I'm glad I waited to post this video, because I was going to post it a lot earlier, but I actually got to talk to Revan, and then kind of made me a lot more tame. I was going to be a lot more harsh. I was going to show a lot of more gameplay. I had a bunch of videos of clips of Palafox just playing absolutely horrendously. And yeah, maybe don't do that.